Hello everyone. Lots of really momentum follow through on a Monday. We trade the CEI RDHL and some other stocks. UAA Under Armour was another good one. Let's start with CEI. So let me show you the loser I had on this trade first. My Trade Zero account is down right now. So you can see I have $0. I'm broke. But this is the chart I have on CEI short. So you can see I lost on the front side here. Very, very small size. I've gotten a little bit smarter now that if I was to short the front side, I always use bait size. And I never locate full size all at once. So this is a small loser on the bait size. But like you can see, I drew a line on this broker here, 430s. That's a line, that's a pivot line on the daily chart. So if we go above the 430s line, then that's where I would loan. You can see I loaned here and then sold some here, and the price action just it couldn't get any momentum going, and I got stopped out on the rest of the loan. And that's why at this rejection, again, this third time rejection, that's why I scaled in short. That's because, it's held up it's held up for a long time, it's still not breaking out, then it's probably gonna dump. And so remember, this is a known dilution chart. Remember, they did another reverse split. The last time it ran, it was in July. And I think they squeezed from $3 to $7 or something like that. It wasn't actually $400. It's many reverse splits, one for 50. But so it's a non-dilution chart. Not a lot of people are willing to buy this kind of crap again. So that's why I think the long didn't work. But the short worked. You can see after I put it on, it started working. Unfortunately, at this point, because I was trying to be smarter with my short, so I only have very, very small size located. And during the midday, it was all gone at Trade Zero. So yeah, sure, executions wise, you can see I shorted here, covered some, re-shorted here, and covered here. It's very small size. So at the end, and after the bait size loss in the front side, it was a tiny win. And you can see that I didn't even catch everything. I covered everything at 360s, and it went down 40 cents more without me. But small win, a win is a win. Next time I'm still trying to work on my patience, but a small win. The next one is RDHL. RDHL, this one I shorted pre-market here around 880s, and then covered some before the market opened. At the open, it popped a little bit, but it was pretty weak. Couldn't even pop towards, back to the previous resistance, which is 880s. So weak, and that's where I put back the rest of my size. When you see, price action confirm with your thesis, short, covered into the wash at 780s, and still have a small piece left, and covered everything at 730s. So a pretty clean trade, and this is the bigger winner on the day. The next one I played was UAA. So UAA, this one, they had earnings today, but also the more significant news is that they are being investigated by the SEC for accounting issues. So whenever a company is being investigated by the federal government, obviously it's a negative news. Remember when Tesla was being investigated because of the whole 420 issue with Elon Musk? The stock tanked for multiple days. So that's why I was leaning into this one short a pre-market. I wasn't scared of this pop because, pre-market, it's small size with this one. I would be more confident if it opens and rejects this pivot line at 1838 multiple times. And you can see it did that multiple times. And that's why I'm adding into full size and shorted on the way down. Did I catch everything? No, I did not. But as a day trader, you're never happy. It doesn't matter whether you win or you lose. You feel like when you lose, of course you're not happy. But when you win and you see that, I missed so much to the downside, it's the same with CEI. You never be happy, but you just have to be content with what you've gotten from the market because it's an opportunity. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed to make all this money. The markets are opportunities, and it's up to you to take a piece of the move. You can never catch everything. So you can see I lost a little bit here. It's because I was shorting here, trying to see it flush, over here. But when I see it reclaim, that's why I'm trying to be conservative and be more careful and cut my loss small and only add to full size after it confirmed for the third time that once, twice, 3 times it got rejected at this level, and that's where I got comfortable enough to short this full size. And that's it. That's all the trades from today. Hey guys, so today is one of those days where I feel like I did all the right things. I woke up early, I prepared for all my trades. I drew out all the support and resistance levels beforehand. But it's one of those days where I couldn't get anything going because I'm dealing with some things in my personal life that's not related to trading or YouTube or anything. And I just couldn't find any groove. And I just not feeling anything today. I mean, it's not an excuse. I'm just saying, like, a lot of times as a trader, your emotional and mental life can really affect your performance intraday. As much as I try to trade robotically without emotions, like, we're human after all. And today I just couldn't get anything going. Like, today the plan to short was to short at the pop to $72. And what did I do? I pressed buy. And, it's a starter size. It's okay. It's a small loss. And I flipped short, covered some, and shorted some more at the breakdown of the pre-market level. And, like, I just wasn't feeling anything today. So I sized everything down and I kind of feel like, hey, like, I'm not feeling good. Mentally, I'm not excited to trade. I'm not feeling confident. At midday, I tried to long the reclaim of VWAP, and when that failed, I cut it. So risk management is still on point. All the levels are still drawn beforehand, but I'm just not in the zone today. So, pretty much a break even, like tiny win on this. Tiny win on this, gave back here and gave back here. So at the open, the plan, MYGN and SHAK, they both gapped down huge on earnings miss. And this one, MYGN especially, they missed on everything. Revenue, guidance, gross sales, and yeah. So it should be a short. And same as SHAK, I longed and I sold for like, a 10-cent scalp. This should have been a short entry, but instead I shorted the breakdown, which is fine because this is a breakdown of a key support level, and I shorted the breakdown of $22. Cover, like didn't even cover at the plan, which is a 2050 support, and tried to long midday, tiny scalp, made something tiny bit. This one, the plan was to short the important daily level at $2. After that broke, it has all the room down to 180s, and you can see I went short and I covered for for like 5-cent loss. Pretty much a break-even day, but I just showed up and I watched, and I did my best, and hopefully tomorrow I'll do better. So coming in today, I'm feeling a lot better than yesterday. As a trader, like, instead of saying that, I can trade with no emotions, I can trade like a robot, I choose to say that I am a human being, I have emotions, but I have learned to be very aware of how I'm feeling and to step away and loosen the gas pedal if I need to. And coming in today, I woke up at 3:30 a.m. Pacific time. I was feeling great, like my mind was really clear, and like I had some time to recover, and I was feeling good, and I was ready to plan out all my trades. So that was really important to me, to have that sort of mental clarity. So coming in today, the big play for everyone was the gap down bounce on Uber. So today it's the IPO lockup expiration date for Uber, and I showed everyone this chart of BYND because they had a similar catalyst on October 29th, just last week. It's also the same. Look at this chart. Doesn't that look kind of similar, right? They gapped down huge and they bounced huge and squeezed everyone up, and that's exactly what happened. So that's part of the planning I do pre-market, is looking at the catalyst and seeing the tickers that had done a similar, setup and catalyst before. So the plan was to long the pole to 2550s. Didn't get that low, but I still got in and paid myself some on the bounce, and of course I sold too soon. But this, in my opinion, was a short squeeze. The funds were definitely involved in this. When you're short and short overnight and you're up like $3, what are you gonna do? You're probably gonna cover, right? Look at this. Don't fight this kind of volume, right? Like 15 million shares of buying at the open. you have to go with a trend and go with a volume when you're trading these kind of large caps and just ride your way up. Yeah, it's probably gonna sell off just like BYND in the next few days. But when it squeezes and with volume, you hop on the trend. So that's the Uber bounce setup. And the next one I want to talk about is AGRX. So this one was really nice. So it gapped up to $3 pre-market and started selling off. $3 is daily resistance, and it's also a huge gap up after 1, 2, 3 on the 4th day. So it was already, selling off pre-market. And you can see it was already gapping down from $3 and was failing to hold that $3, support, key level, however you want to call it. And at the open, it just bounced towards 3. Didn't, even touch $3 and just started selling off. And that's a thesis. I want to start shorting this, and I covered some, shorted this on the way up. The idea was to add $3, but it never got there. And I wanted to cover some more here just in case this creates a double bottom and, create a higher low and start squeezing back up, because this has been a tricky trade in the last few days. You can see the same thing. Like every time it washed, like a big buyer just came in and scooped it up, and they keep on saving this. They've been saving this for 3 days. Look at this. Every time it washes down like this, somebody picks it back up, right? And back to highs. It's the same thing here. It washed down here, and then somebody just bought it back. So today, I want to be very careful and cover into every single wash, just in case this kind of crap happens again. So that's why I was covering, you can see, covering into all the washes. I was really conservative with my ads on the bounce, because, like this could just happen and just squeeze everyone out again. But today, everything kind of worked out pretty well. I added some more here, covered some, because it was kind of starting to hold for a little bit. But, it's somebody sold like 1 million shares on this dump, and I just covered most of it. I had like tiny baby size left. I just kind of want to see what it could do. And at the end of the day, it didn't break down, so I just covered everything. Oh, next one. This one is crazy. Similar move as NXTC yesterday, exactly the same setup. Yesterday I didn't long NXTC because I just missed it and I didn't want to chase. But today I got in on all the washout, and I bounced all the washout. The idea is that, on all the major wash, the shorts are gonna want to cover because they are bent upside down, trying to short this from $18 to $45. If I was short, I'd cover on any chance I have. And that's the kind of the idea behind this parabolic, dip buy setup. So this is a parabolic uptrend and this is a parabolic downtrend. So you want to be careful with this kind of parabolic dip buy, because you never know when's the top. Like when I was buying this, I thought we have more uptrend to squeeze up, right? But I didn't want to outstay my welcome. Like you can see, I didn't wait to sell at 41, because what if it doesn't pop that high and just dumps? Right? So I got in here and added some more here, and I sold everything here. So everything is like what, a two point washout trade. Pretty nice parabolic move. I was kind of sad that it didn't go all the way to 100, just like NXTC. But again, remember NXTC, a lot of people got hurt on that one, long and short, right? So like you can't expect the exact same thing to happen the second day. NXTC yesterday, it went to $100. Right? And today it didn't, and it actually bounced really nicely later on in the day. But you can see this one didn't bounce that high, right? Because this is exactly the price action as yesterday. And guess what? People are not gonna be risking, holding this and gapping down and holding the bag, So a lot of loans got hurt on the backside. And people just don't want to risk that again. But yeah, this was a nice long on the day. And now the next one, the big payday today, was this NXTC short. Like I just talked about, all this move got a lot of people in long, right? There were people in from $100. And when the stock starts gapping down pre-market, I guess it's the same idea as AGRX, right? At the pop, that's where I want to shorted the pop, added here on the way down, seeing that, hey, I was leaving a lot of bullet to add, up to $100, So I was tiny, like a quarter size, and this is where I added, seeing that this bounce was extremely weak. Look at the volume. There's no real buyer. This kind of pop is just people selling and like people covering. So that's why I added two bigger size. All in all, the max size I had was only half size. Just because, I want to be conservative, this thing can squeeze, and I was covering into every single wash. Covered here, and I reshorted on this bounce. I don't know why my VWAP is not showing, but this was VWAP around $78. So that's where I reshorted, again, covering into every single wash. And just like AGRX, I had tiny baby size left. I was trying to see if it can go down to $50, but obviously it didn't, and I covered at the end of the day. But this was a nice payday on the day, and very refreshing to see follow through both to the upside and downside on these two biotech hype tickers. So very nice. And the other one I traded is Uber short, because remember, I'm anticipating this kind of chart when after it's done squeezing everyone out, it just starts selling off. Right? And we saw something similar, not exactly the same, but very similar. After the stock finds a top, it just sold off and started downtrending. And that's why I got in short. I got in short here. I was thinking, okay, maybe 27.30 was the top. I got in short here. After it starts flagging, I was a little bit nervous because it could potentially squeeze to $28. So that's why I trimmed some position. I don't want to get in too big. I want to save more size for later on. And I was anticipating to pop to this high, didn't get there, and just dumped. When I see this kind of dump, I say, okay, that was the top. This level is the top for Uber today. And that's why I was trying to short, got in short here. Probably not the best entry, to be honest. The better entry would have been here. But I got in short here and covered into the wash 26.60s, and I was done with this trade. I was out of all my borrows. I didn't want to locate anymore and trade this kind of midday grind when like the volume is kind of steady. So Uber was a nice trader on the day. Longed the front side with the other broker and shorted the back side with trade 0. Gonna do a small red day recap today. Even though it's a red day, I still feel like I traded really well today. And that's how I evaluate my trading, by the way, on a day-to-day basis. I don't evaluate myself by how much money I made or lost. I evaluate myself by how well I traded, whether I planned all my trades beforehand, whether I followed all my routine, and whether I followed my risk. That's the most important part. And if at the end of the day I followed my trading plan and I still lost, that's a good loss. So, I want to be rewarded for good trading behavior. The worst thing that can happen is if you break your rules and you still make money. Because if you do that, then your brain will associate bad behaviors with good outcome. And that's not something we want, right? We want to aim for consistency in trading habits, not consistency in profits. Because if you have good discipline, good habit, in the long run, the profit will follow. So anyways, let's talk about Roku. This stock gapped down overnight due to disappointing earnings. The numbers were actually really good. The revenue was growing, sales growing, and they're guiding up for the next few quarters. But it's just the analysts were expecting a lot higher. And also they had a huge run from $100 to $150 around the earnings time. So that's why, it sold off huge yesterday. And the plan yet today was to long the bounce on the daily, right? It gapped down from 140 down to 117. That the plan was to long the bounce. Shorted here. So I longed here at the dip at the open. The plan was to add into the wash around 117 again, but I never got to add. So I sold most of it here at the pop to 119.80s, and I still had a tiny bit left, which I didn't get to sell at the pop. You can see I had to cut it here just in case this support level dumps and all hell breaks loose. So I cut my long here, and when this rebounded, I was actually busy with CNST. So I didn't catch this part long or short, but I started shorting here. And I was thinking that, okay, it got rejected quickly, created a lower high, it's probably gonna dump and pull down to, on the daily, 115 area before next leg up. And that's why I shorted. But when it starts holding this area, that's when I started to cover. I was thinking, okay, maybe that was just a fake breakdown, as you can see here. Maybe it's just consolidating for a next leg up, which is what happened. But unfortunately, these are just covers for the short, right? I wasn't long in here because I was battling CNST. But I caught like a tiny scalp later in the day after I was done with all my trades, caught like a tiny momentum scalp from 122, 123 and sold everything at 124.80s. You know, I kind of wish I held longer, but you know, the intention for this trade was a scalp. So, and unfortunately, I missed all the sell-off on the backside. So, it's okay. The other trade on the long side, the short side is Fossil. So this one, they missed on earnings, you know, sales decreasing, revenue is disappointing as well. But squeezed at the open because, you know, they gap down, kind of similar setup like Roku, they gap down from $12 to $9 at the open. So it squeezed huge at the open. And when I saw such a volatile sell-off and couldn't hold any gains, you know, that's why I was thinking, okay, maybe this has a potential to fade near the end of the day. And that's why I scaled in short after seeing that this consolidation above VWAP failed, and that's why I entered in short. And of course, in hindsight, I kind of wish I added here and, you know, covered here, but I was trying to let it work and see what it wants to do because the volume was really low. But at the end of the day, I kind of just covered for break even, as you can see. You know, didn't do anything, just kind of chopped around. So the next one is the loser that I want to talk about on the day, CNST. It's a loser on the day, but I'm still very happy with how I manage my risk and how I cut it and before letting it, you know, balloon up into something not manageable. So it's the exact same setup as the NXTC short on day 2 yesterday. Same idea. I started in scaling in short pre-market, covered some just to pay myself a little bit. I didn't add in here because it was just pre-market size, very, very small. Covered most of the pre-market size here and wanted to wait for a pop at the open to add in short. And you can see it wasn't the best entries because it was really hard to get filled. The spreads were like 50 cents. So I shorted here and it popped, and I want to see what happens here, right? If it breaks above $30, you know, then I want to get out on the scale. But it dumped, well, not that hard, I guess. Like, you know, it dumped from $29 to 27.50s. I covered some on this wash just in case it starts holding up, right? Because it's still around this red to green line. It's a psychological trigger. So I covered some more here, and I covered more here just in case. I had after this cover, I had like a tiny bit on, like tiny size. So like all this pre-market, yeah, we call it break even. Break-even trade so far on the short trade, I had tiny size, and I added on this pop here. I think I added here short, and I covered everything when I see that it's starting to hold. So the plan for this trade was a pop at the open and sell off beneath the red to green. So when it starts holding above the red to green line, this is not like my plan, right? So when it's going against me, I need to cut it. So I'm very happy about this. Ended up with a really tiny red. If I had held, and this squeezed me out, that would have been a huge loss. So, you know, very happy with this trade, even though it's red. Next one, IFRX. This one is a win, but man, like, I wasn't aggressive with my ads. So, like, you know, it gapped up huge from 250 to 380s pre-market due to earnings report. I was shorting this on the to gap fill this on the way down, basically. So I shorted here. I felt like I was already late to the game, so I got in like a quarter size. You know, I wanted to add to full size because it's so extended on the daily, but I didn't want to add into weakness, right? I was hoping for another pop towards 350s or 370s and I'll add to full size slowly over there. But I never got a chance. Got in short, it just starts dumping. So I covered some before the market opens, thinking that, okay, it could pop, just like BNGO did today. Nope, didn't pop, just straight up dumped. And of course, I covered way too early. The best cover was 280, covered somewhere here. The earlier cover was $3. You know, it went down to as low as 260s, but, you know, can't catch everything. So end of the day, small red, but I'm still very happy with how I traded and how I manage my risk and trading discipline.